Hello and welcome to the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts, a Centers for Spiritual Living teaching center. I am Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson. I am the founder and the spiritual director. Now, as you are sitting there joining us, you may have questions, any number of questions, such as, who am I? How did I get here? Spiritually integrated arts means what exactly? What is a teaching center? Well, what is Centers for Spiritual Living? What is that? What does that even mean? Or New Thought, or religious science, or science of mind and spirit? You may have any number of questions about this specific community, about the parent organization, CSL, our philosophy, our teaching, our liberation theology. Any number of questions. Feel free to send an email. We look forward to connecting more and building our virtual community, our global community. And if you haven't connected yet on social media, feel free to do so. This is your invitation now. Also, did you know that all of our Sunday messages are archived on our YouTube channel? You can watch it anytime. Now, questions about anything, such as becoming a member. What does that mean? What does membership entail? And if you live somewhere far and already belong to a spiritual community, can you be a member of more than one? The simple answer is yes, you can. Just like you can shop at more than one grocery store, you can attend or be a member of more than one gym. We are building beloved community. So you can do both. You can be a member of both. You can be involved with both. That's what being in spiritual community means. So we welcome you. We invite you. We are so appreciative that you have found this community and that you have joined us today. We bless you. We love you. We welcome you. Live long and prosper. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of our Sunday message. Love you. Connect with you soon. Blessings. Namaste and greetings. We're getting close to the end of the month. Wait a minute. Today's March 24th. Tomorrow's my birthday, my birthday. Today we are talking about new, now. What's next? Yeah, no, we had a moment there because 58 years old, huh? New, now. What's next? We are awakening in a new way. That is the intention for this year, Grand Rising, the theme. And this month, that's how we've never done it. So we are awakening in a new way, new ways to realize what it means to be these spiritual beings, living this spiritual life, right? I mean, that's what we're doing. Excuse me. That's what we're doing, right? I mean, I'm just checking. Okay. So yeah, they said yes. So to that point, what's the new thing? What is the new way? Well, it's a new way of realizing that you are more than what you think you are. You are the universe experiencing itself in ecstatic motion. And we often think of ourselves as being these small, tiny little insignificant people, just peopling, doing the human thing. As some would say, we are simply sinners bound toward hell, needing salvation in order to. So we are awakening to realize that you are far more than any of that. You are far more than even any description of what you think you are. You are the infinite. You are the absolute incarnating itself. That's nothing new. We've even talked about it before. So what do you do with it? With that realization, with this awakening, what are we going to do about it? How do we carry that awareness forward into our lives, into a larger expression, larger embodiment, larger of the good that is our lives? Bringing that into our spiritual communities, bringing that into our larger communities, bringing that into the planet as a whole. We do this while being grounded in the truth of who and what we are and the vision of what we are ever becoming. I am that I am. Actually, I am that I am ever becoming more of what I am. The finite is ever becoming more and more of the embodiment of the infinite, the embodiment of the eternal, the embodiment of knowing that the finite will never be able to fully embody it, but that doesn't mean we don't still embody it to the degree that we can and the degree that we are. So we become it, we embody it, we express it, and we let that vision and that truth, that principle inform every aspect of our mental equivalent, our thoughts, the manner in which we communicate, our emotions and our feelings, and our actions. As it says in Luke chapter 2, verse 49, we are about what they said, God's business. We are about our Creator's business. We are about the business of the divine. That is our business. Not by some divine interference or divine destiny. It's what you are. There is no purpose that is deemed for you, predestined for you, written down, whatever. No, because there's nothing other than what God is. There is nothing other than what love is. So what you do with that, what each of us does with that, that is our self-selected destiny, our self-selected opportunity to engage life from that vantage point. So we consciously, we lovingly, we creatively get to doing the work of the divine, get to doing the work of love, get to doing the work of being a healing presence that creates a world that works for all. Breathe. So good old Ernest and Raymond, they share, I keep the windows of my soul open to new and fresh ways of knowing truth. I let go of the little to accept the more. I let go of lack and scarcity as being the way things have to be in order to accept the more, the abundance and the infinite flow of, which is the truth of creation. But I have to be willing to move from to. Even while experiencing this, am I in a space where I can begin to shift to say, in the same way that Viktor Frankl realized that the Nazis were the prisoners, he set himself free by realizing that this little expression of what they were doing, I release this and move into the more expansive way of showing up. Are we willing to do that? Are we willing to let go of the little? And little, it's not a quantifiable thing like size. So when I say, are we willing to let go of the little war, I'm not minimizing war. What I'm saying is that we are thinking smaller, which is why we have war and non-life affirming competition and domination and oppression, because we're focused on the little rather than expanding to the more. Are we willing? Are we willing to open the doors and open the windows of our consciousness to let the more flow, not just flow in, but flow through us and flow as us? Dr. Holmes says, now we must open the doors of our consciousness and expand and expand and expand, and no longer think in terms of the backyard lot, but in terms of the infinite nature of the universe. Are we willing to expand and expand and expand? And what this means is, we've heard, we've said, we've discussed before, being open at the top and open at the bottom. Are we willing to expand into the greater and greater and ever greater expression of life? If so, then there is something to practice. So he says we must open the doors of our consciousness. That's a very poetic way of saying what? How do I open the doors of my consciousness? There are practices, spiritual practices, discussions, spiritual discussions, meditation, conversation, reading. There are all kinds of ways to open the doors, to question paradigms and beliefs, to investigate do I actually believe this? And if I do, what does that mean to believe that? And when I say this and I use these words, what does this really mean? Are we willing to do that work in order to open the doors of our consciousness, in order to expand and expand and expand and expand, to boldly go where we have never done that before? Dr. Holmes says, not only is there an activity of mind and spirit ready, but it is surging forward, surging forth with tremendous power. The seed that grows in the crevice in the wall has power to burst the wall. Breathe that in. The seed that grows within this concrete structure has the power to crack the concrete, to crack the stone, and to break the wall. And yet, oftentimes we think we are too small, we are too insignificant, we are, incapable of changing the status quo, changing the collective consciousness. And yet, each and every one of us is far more powerful than we realize. As Victor Hugo says, there is no force on earth that can stop an idea. There is no force on earth that can stop the inspiration that desires to be born, that desires to create. There is no force on earth that can stop an idea whose time has come. Does this mean we have not yet reached the time for the idea of peace on earth? We have not yet reached the time for a world that works for all? Or have we reached the time and we are moving into it? Is there work to be done that we're not doing? What is the work that we are doing? How are we bursting the seed open, placing the roots within, moving through the structure of, and crack it open? Where is this occurring? How is it occurring? Where do you witness it? What does it look like? Because it's easy to look around and see all of the ways that we are bound and blocked and boarded in. It's easy to see the wall, whatever the wall is, the wall of racism, the wall of lack and scarcity, the wall of separation and othering and war. It's easy to see the wall. But our invitation is, are you ready to remove, to demolish, to eradicate those walls? Now, there are walls in the concept of walls that are necessary. Houses have walls. There is a wall here that separates the office from the bedroom. There's walls. Walls are structures that can be used for the betterment of. But the moment that wall becomes an obstruction, it is time for it to be removed. Many times people will renovate a house and they will remove a wall to open up the space. Are you ready to open the space? Are you ready to open the doors, open the windows of your consciousness by removing the walls that prevent, the non-life affirming walls that block that separate, that segregate. We do the same thing when we talk about who was born on which side of the train tracks. The train tracks, in essence, in that it's the wall. You were born on the good side of the train tracks, wall. This side versus that side. The good side versus the bad side. The rich side versus the poor side. Is it not time to remove that wall and simply be unified together as community rather than othering based upon caste, based upon class, based upon color, based upon anything that we use to separate and isolate and segregate? Are we willing and are you ready? Pierre says, today something is happening to the whole structure of human consciousness. A fresh kind of life is starting, driven by the forces of love. The fragments of the world we are seeking each other. The fragments of the world are seeking each other so that the world may come into being, so that that world, the unified world, the world of love, may come into being, may crack through the wall and grow into being. Do we believe that what he says is true? Is something happening to the whole structure of human consciousness? Is a fresh life starting? Is this fresh life driven by the forces of love? And are the fragments of the world seeking each other? What are the fragments of the world? The marginalized communities? Those who have been oppressed, traumatized, suffering? Are they seeking each other to come together in common unity, community, so that that world, a world that works for all, can come into being? Do we have the evidence of that? Do we see that? And if so, what is the evidence? It's easy to talk about it, to theorize about it, to put it into words. But I want to know what the evidence is. What is it that we are seeing, feeling, and experiencing that is giving clear insight, clear proof that this is what's happening? And when I say clear proof and evidence, I'm talking about the kind of evidence that if someone were to take it into a court of law, there is something that can be entered as Exhibit A. Peace on earth, goodwill towards all is coming into. More effective way of dealing with climate change that is healthy for all life on planet Earth. What's the evidence? Where is this happening in community? Where is this happening in politics? Where is this happening in education and science, technology and business? Where is it happening? What is the evidence? Where is the proof? Because if we don't have it, then what are we basing it on? Are we basing it on a hope and a wish? Now, granted, there are things that you feel and you know it for yourself, but you can't offer it as proof. That's fine. But do you know it? Do you have within yourself, I know what this feels like? In a way that we are not fooling ourselves, because oftentimes people will fool themselves and they'll say, I know what I feel and I trust them. And then they betray that trust. And then we realized we were mistaken. We saw the red flags, but we ignored them. So when we say prayer works, are we just reciting a phrase? Or do we believe that prayer works? Do we have evidence that it works? That's the invitation. Identify the evidence. Be the Sherlock Holmes for this week and identify the evidence that says meditation works, journaling works, visioning works. Here's the proof. Will Rogers says, even if you're on the right side of the tracks, or the right side, what I'm testing me, even if you're on the right track, you will get run over if you just sit there. So you can be on the right path, be doing the right thing, and put right in quotation marks. You can be doing, but if you're just sitting there, I'm visioning. Okay, so when do you take action? I'm praying. When do you take action? Because even if you are, as he says, even if you are on the beneficial path, the effective path, the desired path, if you do not act, now what's running you over? I don't know, because it's going to vary based upon whoever, our individual lives. But in essence, if we do not remain open at the top and open at the bottom, then we become complacent and stagnant. And water that is stagnant becomes poisonous. So rather than simply sitting there and meditating, I'm comfortable and I only need to meditate and pray, and everything gets better. I'm comfortable and I'm comfortable. Okay, okay, cool. I'm glad you're comfortable, but that's not going to change much. So as Dr. Tong says, get off your cushion. Get off your cushion. And as it says on the back of her book, drop the old habit of meditating only on a cushion. She offers, use this book as a blueprint to bring meditation to every experience of your life, to pave your path to spiritual awakening. Weaving meditation, weaving prayer, weaving whatever it is into the fabric of life, which means you're not just meditating when sitting on a cushion. You're not just praying when, however it is that you pray, you're not just praying then. But prayer is your life. Meditation is your life. Mindfulness is your life. How do you weave into one divine tapestry? E.B. White says, I get up every morning determined to both change the world and to have one hell of a good time. We'll talk about that in a second. Sometimes this makes planning my day difficult. I'm sure it does, E.B. So when EB is saying this duality of this both and this, I'm going to change the world and have one heaven of a good time. I know what EB said. I'm having one heaven of a good time. One life affirming, ooh, good. That's where I'm at. That's me. You do you, but that's where I am. I understand linguistic convenience. One hell of a good time. I got you. I got you. One heaven of a good time. So, how do I both change the world and have joy? Do the work of changing the world, which is going to be uncomfortable, which is going to involve conflict. It involves effort in the same way that that plant has to exert effort to break down the wall to spring forth. How do I do that and be in the place of happiness and gratitude and love and wonder, awe, joy, both and? That's why it's difficult to plan your day, as EB is saying, because there's this, and the reason it's difficult is because we separate these two. We segregate them as though this is one thing and requires what it requires, and this is another thing and requires what it requires, versus saying, how do I weave these together so that my intention to live the best life possible, which includes changing the world and feeling and enjoying and having one heaven of a good time. As long as this vision is maintained, as long as I'm acting with integrity and principle, it's easier to weave these together rather than force them apart into the Tupperware of compartmentalism that it's either or. Either I'm having one heaven of a good time, or I'm changing the world. I'm having one heaven of a time while changing the world. How about that? As I am changing the world, I am having one heaven of a good time. Let's try that on. Let's try that energy on and see how it navigates and moves through our life. Science of Mind and Spirit is not a head in the sand philosophy, teaching, or theology. Rather, as a metaphysical liberation theology, the Science of Mind and Spirit requires a more conscious, deliberate, and dedicated applied practice of principle. As the new year continues, each of us is being invited to a new degree of awareness, a larger, more expansive, expanded and expanded and expanded awareness and application. We are called to live Science of Mind and Spirit and declare that's or this is how we've never done it. This is how I've never done it. Because that's how we create a world that truly does work for all, by doing what hasn't been done, by moving into that space of this is new territory for me individually, for us collectively. Let's keep expanding. Let's keep breaking through the wall of, let's keep growing. Let's keep evolving. Let's keep loving. Let's keep healing. Breathe. This week's affirmation, our declaration, I will say it first, and if it resonates with you, say it with me on the second time it is said. Grounded in truth, I step forward into ever greater and greater and greater good. Yeah, you caught that. I put another and greater on there. If it resonates, say it with me. Grounded in truth, I step forward into ever greater and greater and greater good. And so it is. Breathe. Our journal questions for this weekend, the Thursday night study group question. What are 2 items on your bucket list that would stretch you into a bigger and better expression of yourself? Now, we refer to bigger and better for linguistic convenience, but for the sake of this conversation, bigger and better expression of yourself. And what is your plan to actualize these 2 items, to truly experience them? Number 2, what new activity, new discipline, new learning opportunity, or new skill have you stepped into in the last few years? What new activity, discipline, learning opportunity, or skill do you want to step into, and when? Number 3, what new activity, what new expression, what new idea would you like to see initiated in your spiritual community, in your center, in your family, wherever, in your country? And what part do you play in the creating of it, the nurturing of it, and the supporting of it? Number 4, what are you still not practicing that keeps you? What are you still not practicing that you keep saying you want to practice? I need to clean my glasses. I know that's what Tracy's saying. What are you still not practicing that you keep saying you want to practice, but you're not doing it? And why are you not practicing it? Like, what's going on that's preventing you from practicing it? What would help you to begin to practice it and be more consistent in the practicing of it? And then lastly, how are you living the science of mind and spirit as a living document, quote unquote? What does that even mean to you? Breathe as we enter into prayer. Entering into that space where we know that the infinite cannot be bound by doors or walls or closed windows. It cannot be locked. It cannot be held prisoner. It is all that is and ever present. But by our own choosing, conscious or not, we can deny ourselves the openness of. In the same way that I can lock myself into or close myself into a room with no windows or curtains closed and be in the darkness without turning on a light, without opening the blinds, I can sit in the darkness. I can sit in the darkness of my own pain, my own trauma, my own ignorance. I can sit in that space of, I wish, but I'm not doing. If only, but I'm not changing. And yet, even in that space, that which is God, that which is love, that which is health, wholeness, and wellness is still present. And the moment I am ready, willing, and able to make contact with that truth, I am then able to open the doors of my consciousness, fly open the windows of my awareness, turn on the light of greater illumination, And then I am able to engage in life more fully, more consciously, more actively, more divinely. And yet, I am no more divine now than I was when in the darkness. That which God is was present then, is present now, fully. But it is my awareness that changes how I apply it, how I embody it, how I express it, how I live it. And what is true for me is true for all of us. It's true for everyone watching now or watching the recording later. It is our awareness, the manner in which we navigate, the manner in which we select and operate based upon our mental equivalent. We get to choose. So I'm affirming right now that we are choosing windows open, doors open, walls broken. The very power in the presence available now in full, without hindrance, without question, without apprehension. The free flow of love, joy, amazement, gratitude, and the power that comes from knowing I am that which I am, ever becoming more of what I am. And the law says yes. And knowing that that sacred yes is, I know that this prayer, this message, this way of stepping into life is already done. And so I surrender it. And now I embody this as a living document so that the prayer doesn't end when I say, and so it is. Actually, the prayer is really only beginning and beginning and expanding and expanding and becoming and becoming and expressing always and in all ways. It is already done. It's already so. And so it is. Much love and appreciation, everybody. So there is no Zoom gathering today. So I look forward to connecting with you sometime during the week for the, various things we have going on during the week. And otherwise, I will see you next Sunday, and stay tuned for our upcoming spiritual gatherings, our upcoming after Sunday message fellowships. Make sure you put it on your calendar. Love and appreciate you. Have an amazing, great day. It's my birthday tomorrow. I might go get some cake.